Hello, this is the primer for the colonization period. So Andrus Colonization Primer, standards 1.1.1 through 3.2.1. Native people have lived in the Americas for thousands of years. Our study of American history begins at the time when Europeans first came to the Americas, ushered in by the voyage of Columbus. The various people who came, conquered, and/or colonized from Europe had many different reasons for leaving Europe, as well as for settling where they did once they got here. Spain capitalized on being the first to know of the Americas and sent out several groups known as conquistadors, who conquered and killed in North, Central, and South America, generally seeking for gold, glory, and God. They unknowingly brought diseases that decimated native populations for generations and often killed those who would not cooperate or convert to Catholicism. In North America, Spain controlled Florida and was heavily involved in areas we call the Southwest: California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. France explored what is today Canada and quickly founded a rewarding fur trapping and trading industry. Because trappers had to manage a large area per person, the French generally did not gather in large cities and began to emulate many of the customs and skills of the native people they came in contact with. Many trappers even married Indian women and learned their languages. The Dutch founded a trading port in New Amsterdam. Today it is called New York. The Dutch operated their colony more as a trading and shipping hub than an attempt to conquer or procure local resources. The greatest amount of colonization from Europe in what is now the United States was done by Europeans from England. The English came for a wide variety of reasons. The first successful English colony was Jamestown in Virginia. Jamestown was a charter colony that was founded to make money for the colonists and the investors back in England. Early Jamestown faced attacks by Indians, diseases, and drought. An alliance was eventually made between the colonists and the Indians. This is where Pocahontas was part of history. Ultimately, the reason Jamestown and Virginia were able to succeed was because of an economy based on the growing and selling of tobacco. The Pilgrims were an English religious sect that wanted to completely separate from the Church of England. They came to Plymouth Colony, now Massachusetts, to escape religious persecution. The first Thanksgiving was a joint celebration between the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag Indians, who initially were rather cordial to one another. The Puritans, another religious group from England, wanted to purify the Church of England by living a more strict version of the religion. They settled the Massachusetts Bay Colony. The Quakers were another group that separated from the Church of England and settled in Pennsylvania. The Quakers believed that religion was best lived by doing one's best and serving others instead of attending sermons or having rituals. This attitude meant that the Quakers were much more tolerant of the Indians around them, as well as other people from other colonies or countries. The New England colonies were dominated by settlers seeking religious freedom, like the Pilgrims and Puritans, and many other colonies began as people left Massachusetts. The middle colonies were less focused on religion, but became a center for trade and politics. The South, led by Virginia, became very focused on agriculture and cash crops like tobacco. The American experience would have felt quite different depending on which colony you were in. Colonies were defined by their differences in those early days. The way colonies dealt with, treated, and were treated by Native Americans were equally diverse. There were outright battles in places like Jamestown, mutual respect in places like Pennsylvania, and outright support in cases like the Pilgrims and the Wanapoic tribe.